Good morning, children, and welcome to all of you in online classes. Dear students, we are doing revision for academic performance evaluation, which will be started from 9th July. Or in that, dear students, we have revised two poems of Flamingo book. The first poem is My Mother at 66 and second poem is An Elementary School Classroom in Islam. And today we will discuss about chapter 1, or the name of chapter is The Last Lesson in Flamingo book, in the same book. Dear students, this particular chapter title is The Last Lesson, but it is first lesson of your book. Why title is The Last Lesson? We will know at the end of the video. One more thing I want to tell you, dear students, that this particular chapter, The Last Lesson, has been written by one of the renowned French writer, or his name is Alphonse Daudet, who was born in 1840 and died in 1897. This particular writer, Alphonse Daudet, is a famous novelist as well as a story writer. This last lesson is about Franco-Prussian War, which was fought between 1870 to 1871. Or during that time, dear students, in that Franco-Prussian War, France was unfortunately defeated by Prussia under the leadership of Mr. Bismarck. So you have to keep in your mind that particular chapter is about Franco-Prussian War, in that France was defeated by Prussia under the leadership of Mr. Bismarck during 1870 to 1871. Or how this particular chapter, the last lesson, is related to that war, we will know in this chapter. Actually, dear students, there are two main characters of this chapter, this story, written by Alphonse Daudet. The first character is Little French, who is actually the narrator of the story, in whose words the whole story has been narrated. And second important character is Mr. Hamel, who is a very strict and dedicated teacher, and working in one of the school for last 40 years. Or this particular teacher is famous for his ruler, famous for his strictness, famous for discipline. So two characters are very important. One Little French, or another is Mr. Hamel. Dear students, I want to tell you that actually the story starts that one day Mr. Hamel has given, the strict teacher, dedicated teacher, given homework to all the students of his class, or the homework was about participle. Or unfortunately, this boy, this student Little French, who was also in class of Mr. Hamel, he is not serious about his studies. Mr. Little French is not serious at all. Or as homework was given by the teacher to all the students, or teacher was strict, so there was a lot of pressure on the students, especially on Mr. Little French, or he has not completed his homework participle, or next morning when he was going to school, actually the story starts कि Mr. Little French started his journey from his home to school. Or what he observed during that, either in way or when he reached to the school, this we have to discuss in this lesson. Actually, Mr. Little French, when he started his journey, so he was not very happy at all, because he has not completed that homework participle, or even he was not knowing that participle, because he was not serious at the time when teacher was teaching. Or secondly, dear students, I want to tell you that particular boy, when he was going, so he observed, he found that there was a lot of crowd near bulletin board. Bulletin board is a play near town hall. So this boy was very much surprised why there was too much crowd near bulletin board, why people were suppose there. This was the question in the mind of Mr. Little French. But at the beginning of the day, he did not want to go and to see the news which was written on bulletin board, because for last 2 years he has received many bad and many sad news from that bulletin board. Or at the beginning of the day, he did not want to spoil his day. But there was something serious. There was some serious issue due to that crowd was collected there near bulletin board, but he ignored. Or when he moved forward towards the school, he was interrupted by that one person, blacksmith, who was standing with his assistant, or he interrupted or he commented, "Don't go fast. You will get your school in plenty of time." So Mr. Narrator Little French took this very negatively, or he increased his speed. Or when he moved forward from that place, so there was enough opportunity in his hand, because Persian soldiers were doing morning drill. There was a good atmosphere, the birds were chirping, or he could go and enjoy his time in these activities, instead of going and attending the class of Mr. Hamel. But he decided not to go and to waste his time in other activity. He directly decided to reach school. But he was thinking that he was getting late. One, or second, the crowd which was all around the bulletin board. The two things were striking in his mind. Or ultimately he reached near the school. Or when he reached near the school, this little boy, Little French, So he found that there was a complete silence, no noise, no commotions. Normally in school days, whenever suppose students used to come before the school, there was too much commotion and noise and disturbance. But on that day, little friends found there was no disturbance, there was no noise. It was seeming that day was holiday or Sunday. Dear students, anyhow he entered in the school premises or through stairs. When he reached to his classroom gate, he found that the teacher Mr. Hamel was in the class. Our students have arrived, or he was dictating something. So as the teacher was strict, so he could not dare to enter in the class firstly. But anyhow he restored courage. Or he was sure that a strict teacher Mr. Hamel will punish him. Dear students, he was sure that he will be welcomed by that teacher, or the teacher will welcome with his ruler. But on that day, the surprising thing was seen by Mr. Little Friend. The strict teacher Hamel did not punish him, did not talk harshly, angrily, or instead of that he talked very politely, or he said, "Go to your place, little friends. We were going to start the lesson without you." So after seeing this change in the teacher, Mr. Little French was completely shocked and surprised. What was the reason? Or anyhow he entered in the class, or he occupied his seat. After occupying his seat, he observed the condition of the class, or he found that the back benches which were usually vacant on that day, they were occupied by many old people, village that mayor, postmaster, and many reputed people were sitting. To seeing this, he was very much surprised. Hasser, postmaster, and several other were sitting on back benches. So this was the first thing. Second thing, change in nature, or second, that back benches were occupied by old Hasser and that postmaster and other dignitaries. Or apart from that, when he looked towards Mr. Hamel, he found that he was not in usual dress, but in unusual dress. He was in his best suit, Mr. Hamel, which he was normally wearing on the occasion of result day or any special function in the school. Or he was wearing his hat also, which was designed. Understood? So seeing this, all these changes, Mr. Little French was very much surprised. Or finally he started the class. Or he was he was very serious, Mr. Hamel. Or even he announced that it was the last French class. So after this announcement, Mr. Little French was completely shocked. After knowing this, Mr. Little French was very much surprised. or he at once understood that this was the news which was displayed on the bulletin board. The teacher informed the students as well as the people who came and occupied the last benches. He told them that it was his last class, last French class. From next day, from tomorrow, the German teacher will come or he will teach. So this was the shocking news. Or on that day he told many things. He taught many things, or whatever he was teaching, that was easily understood by Mr. Little French. Little French was regretting that why he was not serious before, why he could not understand. Even Mr. Hamel told that for his position, for French position, his parents were responsible or he himself was responsible. Parents were responsible because they wanted to send Mr. Little French to work in factory, or he was responsible because he was sending him for watering the plants and catching the fishes. So for this he was sorry, or he was taking responsibility, the teacher. Or after that he taught many things and students were very much serious, or even he told and instructed them that they should not forget their language. Their language is their weapon. At the time when they will again suppose get freedom, so at the time of their freedom struggle, their language French will work as a weapon. So they should always keep in their mind their own language French. Though from next day the German teacher will come and he will teach German language, but as they are French people, so they should always keep their language in their heart. So due to that, the title is the last lesson. Or ultimately, dear students, the man became very much emotional, or he was observing each and everything of the school, even the trees, even the windows, even the classrooms, all the things he wanted to scan in his mind. Or lastly he has written, Viva la France. It means long live France. Or after writing this, the man became very emotional. His throat was completely choked, or he was not in position to say anything. Dear students, so this is the complete detail of this lesson, complete information of this chapter. The last lesson you will see, you will watch the video and you will read the chapter. If you have any confusion, you will ask. Thank you, dear students.